Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
This the monster from the swamps, Regis Rougarou Program.
Hey, what's up? This is King Carlos Molina, former IBF world champ.
This is Michael, the Bounty Hunter, 2012 Olympian and your people's champ.
This is Charlie Edwards, flyweight champion of the world.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 455 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host Joey Coastman. I'm joined as ever by former heavyweight world title challenger, the main man himself, Mr. Fast Eddie Chambers. Eddie, how you doing this week?
I'm doing good, my man. Actually great. How about you?
Why is it great?
I don't know. Just happy right now. I don't know. I'm typically a happy guy, but I think it's probably because I got a nice free day tomorrow that I could do pretty much whatever I want. So yeah, that's really what it is. And you don't get many of those days when you're in my shoes. So yeah, that's really what it is.
Okay. Good. No, I'm okay. Yeah. Let's move on to the review part of the show. We're going to start here last Thursday, June the 27th at the Fantasy Springs Casino in Indio, California, USA. Just one fight to mention over here. It was live on DAZN. Darius Foljam, now 12-0. He goes the distance for just the second time. It was a unanimous decision for him over 10 against the very tough Vaughn Alexander, the brother of Devon. He's now 18-12 with a draw. I did say on last week's show it's probably going to go the distance, and Darius Foljam won the fight on points like I predicted. Moving now to the SSE Arena in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Again, this took place on the Friday. The last one there, the Foljam one, was on a Thursday night. And this card here took place on a Friday night. Just one fight to mention really there in Northern Ireland. We saw Pierce O'Leary move to 15-0. I did say again on last week's show, they're expecting him to stop Dara Foley, to become the first man to stop Dara Foley. I think he did come close to doing that, to be honest with you. He had Foley down in the second round from a right uppercut. But, Foley showed his toughness. As we know, he's a really, really tough guy. Pierce O'Leary with the unanimous decision over 10 there for the WBC International Super Lightweight title. So another correct prediction from myself. Moving now to the Entertainment and Sports Center in Washington, D.C. Over here, two fights to mention. Lester Martinez on the undercard, now 18-0, a unanimous decision against Carlos Gongora, now 22-3. I did say this one will probably not go the distance. I was wrong there. Like I say, 10-round unanimous decision for Martinez. Both guys were big punchers. However, Carlos Gongora has a heck of a chin. He's a tough guy. And in the main event, friend of the show, Lamont Roach Jr. picked up win number 25. He's got one loss on one draw. A successful first defense. I think it was a first defense against Feargal McCrory, now 16-1. He was an undefeated Irishman. He's now lost his O. He was a tough guy, though. I tell you, he took some big shots. He was down. He got back up, and the rest of it. He was down in the third round and then twice in the fourth round, but he ended up, like I say, climbing off the canvas and getting TKO'd in the 8th round. Lamont Roach looked good, but again, I hadn't heard of McCrory at all until last week, so, he didn't have much. He was a limited fighter, but again, tough, really, really tough. Showed that Irish toughness. Moving now to the Estral Convention Center in Berlin. This one took place over there on the Saturday night. Marco Huck with a win, now 43-5 with a draw. So one more fight, and he'll be having his 50th pro fight. Yeah, you're near that area as well, Eddie, actually. But yeah, unanimous decision for Marco Huck over 10 rounds at heavyweight against Evgenios Lazaridis, now 19-6. Go on, Eddie, what are you going to say?
He got I think he has the exact same record that I do. The exact same record. 43-5, yeah.
Yeah, he has a draw that you don't have, but yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. Thank you, Joe. you killed my argument there. No, but it's the same win-loss.
Yeah, okay. No, you've got 43 wins, Eddie. So you'll soon be there.
I thought you said, yeah, I got 43, right?
You got 43. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. He's now on 43. Sorry, Eddie.
Oh, I was about to say, man, what you saying?
We're both making mistakes here.
I know math is obviously not our strong suit, but it's all good. We'll get it.
Yeah. And yeah, you're right. Moving now to the Olympia in Liverpool, Merseyside, United Kingdom. Again, this was Saturday. We had Jazza Dickens as well on this card here. He gets a mention because he's a friend of the show. And more than that, we did an interview years ago when he was cooking a lobster, I believe it was, in a frying pan during the interview. So I'll never forget that. But Jazza Dickens with a good win, actually, a 6th round TKO. It was the final round. It was only a 6th round fight, but he got the TKO against the very, very tough Jaron, who's now 15-30. But that's only the 3rd time he's been stopped in 30 losses, so he doesn't often get stopped. Jazza Dickens isn't the biggest puncher, but he did well there to stop him. He's now 33-5 is Jazza. Moving to the Footprint Center in Phoenix, Arizona, USA. We're flying through this review part. This one took place on DAZN. On the undercard, Yamileth Mercado, now 24-3. I expected this. It was a unanimous decision over 10-2s against Ramla Ali, now 9-2, a successful defense of Mercado's WBC Super Bantamweight World title. However, the scorecards did not indicate how competitive a fight it was. Mercado may have done enough to win, but you know, those scorecards, I think they were like 8-2, I believe, in the end. So yeah, it was a much more competitive fight than that. So yeah, some people even felt Ramla Ali won the fight, but like I say, I didn't see the whole fight at all. I only saw a couple bits of it, and I expected Mercado to win on point. She was much more experienced. She'd been in with much better opposition than Ramla Ali had, and yeah, it's a predictable outcome, I think, there. Moving up the card once again, Sonny Edwards, again another predictable outcome. It would have been a unanimous decision over 12 rounds, but he suffered a really bad cut on his forehead from a head clash, and you know, they stopped the fight early, went to the cards, technical decision, unanimous for Sonny Edwards. He was absolutely bossing it. He's now 21-1. Back to his best, really. He completely, toyed with Adrian Currio, a former world champion, now 24-6 with a draw. Like I say, it went 9 rounds, but Sonny Edwards was back to his best, It wasn't the Sonny Edwards from the Bam Rodriguez fight where he seemed to kind of adopt a bit of a more aggressive style, trying to stand his ground and hold his own, and command the respect of Bam Rodriguez. He didn't sort of do his usual. His usual is hitting and not getting hit. He likes to fight off the back foot. He does come forward at times, but he does like to fight off the back foot. He's a very tidy boxer, but we didn't see it much against Bam, but we did see it the other night, and he was making his opponent miss, wildly, and he just showed he's still a world-class fighter. There were some people picking Currio for the upset, because Currio, of course, upset the odds against Nonshinga, though Nonshinga is no Sonny Edwards. But people were worried about Sonny Edwards, obviously, because that fight against Bam probably took, a lot out of him. But there was no indication of it taking much out of him the other night. He looked, punch perfect, to be honest with you. So happy for him to be back to winning ways. Moving now to the main event, though. We were just talking about him, Bam Rodriguez. He's now 20-0, a TKO or a KO, I think it may have been, in the 7th round against Juan Francisco Estrada, now 44-4. Estrada down in round 4, but then managed to put Bam down in round 6, and then of course Estrada down in round 7 again from a body shot, and did not beat the count. It was interesting because it was a good fight early on. I felt it was quite tactical, but, you know, Bam was getting the upper hand with it. And then Bam got a little bit too greedy. I think he was kind of in kill mode. You know, he was dishing out a bit of a butt whooping, and yeah, he was kind of on the front foot, really aggressive, and then he walked onto a shot and got put down. I don't think he was massively hurt, but it was just a reminder to maybe, you know, step back a little bit and just think before you're doing things. This is a very experienced, you know, current world champion. Obviously, he was the belt holder in this fight. He was the champion. So Bam, with a very good performance overall there, gets a stoppage. He's now the new WBC super flyweight champion of the world. So it's another belt for him at another weight. Yeah, tremendous fighter, and just can't wait for his future, to be honest with you. I mean, he's a guy who, you know, realistically, I haven't heard much people talk about it, to be honest with you, but they like to talk about Naoya Inoue boxing the likes of Gervonta Davis, who's however many weight classes above him. I think Bam Rodriguez is a much more realistic opponent, though I don't see the fight happening. But imagine that one. That's one to think about. Yeah, that'd be crazy. But again, I don't know if Inoue is going to be hanging around at bantamweight for as long as, you know, Bam is going to... Well, he's only just gone to Superfly, so I don't think we're going to see him up at bantamweight anytime soon, and by the time he gets there, Inoue will probably be gone. Moving now to the final card to mention, it went down at the James L. Knight Center in Miami Beach, Florida, USA. This one had a few fights to mention. It was live on ESPN, live on Sky Sports. Nico Ali Walsh, happy for him to come back and avenge his sole defeat to Sona Akali. Nico Ali Walsh now 10-1. Sona Akali now 9-2. Akali down in round 3, lost a unanimous decision over 6 rounds, and that knockdown is what won Nico the fight. So yeah, I don't think he should you know, go near Akali again. I think he should stay well away now. I don't think he won the first fight, even though he felt he won it, and obviously he won this fight here. He was a little bit better, but I think we're starting to see where his level's at. There's no shame in where his level's at, I don't think Sona Akali's much of a bad fighter, but, you know, it is what it is. And it also has to be mentioned as well that he's got a lot of heart, Nico, because I think he dislocated his shoulder. You could see the bone kind of protruding through the skin there, and he battled through that and won the fight still. So yeah, it happened late on in the contest. I don't think it was, you know, he's lucky it was a 6-round fight, to be honest with you. Again, I'm not entirely sure why he's still boxing in 6-rounders when he's, you know, over 10 fights, but it is what it is. All the best to him. Happy for him to get that win. Also on the card, Emiliano Vargas now 11-0, a TKO for him in the very first round against Jose Zaragoza, now 9-9 with 2 draws. Rohan Polanco now 13-0, a TKO for him in the second against Luis Hernandez Ramos, now 23-5. Rabisi Ramirez looked good. He's now 14-2, a TKO for him in the 7th against Brandon Benitez, now 21-3. That one for the vacant WBO NABO featherweight title. Yeah, Rodriguez was good. I saw little bits of that, and obviously the main event, I watched it in its entirety. Teofimo Lopez now 21-1, a unanimous decision over 12 against the very tough Steve Claggett, now 38-8 with 2 draws. It was for the WBO Super Lightweight World title. Like I say, 12th round unanimous decision for Teofimo Lopez, friend of the show. Happy for him. Yeah, you know, I think I've criticised him enough. I don't think he's the same fighter he was at 135. I don't think he's that same fighter here at 140. But, you know, the bookies were expecting him to stop Steve Claggett, who'd only been stopped once in 7 losses, and that was a hell of a long time ago. And Claggett can punch as well, you know. I said on last week's show, you know, he's not a club fighter, but, you know, he's somewhere, you know, he's not quite world level. He's not quite fringe world level either, in my opinion. And he came to fight just like I expected. The fight pretty much went just how I thought it would go. You know, I did think it was worth betting on Teofimo Lopez to win on points, because again, I don't think he seems to be the puncher up at 140. Claggett's a tough guy, and yeah, you know, Lopez, I don't think really hurt Claggett at all. He landed some fantastic looking uppercuts. He went to the body. You know, I think he was quite well. I say quite impressive. I wouldn't say he was that impressive, in all honesty. It wasn't. You know, he's lost that X factor now, I think, Teofimo, and I hate to say that. He's a nice guy. He's a friend of the show. I like the guy, but yeah, you know, he was winning the rounds on cleaner work rather than like work rate, because he was definitely being outthrown. From what I could see from Steve Claggett. Steve Claggett set like a really fast pace, but not everything was getting through, and he made Teofimo fight at a very uncomfortable pace for him. And a lot of the time, you know, Teofimo was on the back foot and having to box, you know. But like I say, there's not much more to say. Yeah, predictable performance. I thought he would go some rounds, and I'm not surprised to see it go the distance. You know, I don't understand why the bookies felt Teofimo would stop him. You know, it couldn't have been from anything to do with his recent performances. It must have just been the level that we think Teofimo is against the level that people think Steve Claggett is. But yeah, wouldn't mind seeing Steve Claggett again. I think he could still come and test a few kind of prospects and stuff. You know, might even beat some of them lower level guys. But yeah, nothing to write home about from Teofimo Lopez. I didn't watch the fight and think, oh my God, I can't wait to see his next one. But I do like him. I think he's very, very exciting. You know, outside of the ring, he can be exciting inside of the ring, though we've been starved of it a little bit in his last few performances. But yeah, fantastic mover. I think he's got some great feet, Teofimo Lopez, but it's just not all clicking. I don't know if he maybe needs a trainer change or something. I think just something's missing, and I'd like to see him back to his best. He says that he feels he's now entering his prime. I don't know. It's not like he took tons of punishment in any fights either, but it just seems to have gone. You know, I don't know what it is, but hopefully we see him back to his best soon, because at his best he was a phenomenal fighter. Yeah, that is about it for the review part of the show. It's now time to welcome this week's special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former WBA Welterweight Champion of the world. It is, of course, Mr. David Avanesyan. David, welcome back on the show, my friend. It's been a long time.
Thank you very much. It's been a long time.
Very long time. We last spoke back in February of 2020. At that time, you were getting ready to fight Josh Kelly in March. Obviously, in the end, the fight took place in February of the following year. It's been a long time, my friend. How have you been, firstly, David?
Yeah, man, very long time. Listen, me and Josh Kelly, this is different history, difficult history for me. Too much change anytime fight. Now, what question?
How do you feel now?
I feel it's good, man. I feel it's good. Very good, man. Carl together, Carl give me good session, good work. Yes, it's no long time for about big fight. And I'm training anytime for my home in Russia. Now is good, sparring good. Carl, I asked Carl. I said, Carl, good, Carl happy. Important for Carl being happy, understand? He know me.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, go on. Sorry, David, go on.
And now, straight away is a long, little time about fight. And 1 week after 2-3 days, yeah, me fly, go and give anything, and you take belt home, mate.
There we go. Even though I haven't spoke to you in over 4 years, not much has changed in that time. You will still fight anyone. You will always give it your best. You're still training with Carl Greaves all this time. You're still managed by Neil Marsh. You're a consistent fighter in and outside of the ring, David.
Yeah, man, listen, I won't say big thank you for my team. My team is very good team. It's a long time. Listen, my team speak maybe 2-3 days, and my manager and Carl say 9 years together, yeah? 9 years, man, this is a long time. Is this time show anybody for me and my team. Now more in team, understand? Now, man, for friends, family. And this is number one good I think this sport. I know many people who after boxing fighter finish, no speak anybody, no coach, no manager. I know like this. I like when David finish, me and my team together good, understand, best together, friends, family, and nothing change.
Yes,
I hope.
For life, yes,
Yeah.
I understand. But yeah, you'll be boxing Jaron Ennis on the 13th in Philadelphia. Tell me, David, how much do you rate Jaron as a fighter? What do you think about him?
Listen, Jaron is good fighter, strong, good fighter. I speak two fighter for who fight him, have fight him. He tell me he is strong, good fighter. Listen, David won't fight only for good fighter, big fighter, understand? And my God, give me again chance of world title. I'm happy. I take my time. I give everything. Why me here? Understand? Why me here? Why me here and this big boxing? Big box is big business, and I like boxing. I like try for big deal. Understand? Big fight, big show is good for me.
And David, is Jaron Ennis a good fighter or a great fighter?
Oh, I know fight him. People say great fighter, and I see 30 in ring. Understand?
Okay. And obviously Ennis is 31-0. He's got 28 KOs, but you know he hasn't really got into any trouble inside the ring. Do you think he'll be the best fighter you've been in a ring with, apart from Terence Crawford, of course?
Oh, listen, I know sure is he best than from Crawford. Listen, when people say for me name Crawford give me bad memories. Understand? Mm-hmm. He's listen. When I go fight about España first time for my European title, I anytime tell my coach. Yeah, I tell you, you good remember, you know everything, man. You good. I tell my coach, please see he gloves. Understand? I don't know why. I say his gloves. When I go fight Crawford, I not think about gloves. What is I think? Listen, Crawford is top fighter, yeah, world class. I think he no need be check gloves, but is I understand? I mistake. Okay. You big fighter, you number one world fighter. Listen, you have bad gloves. What do you want? This is box. This is gentleman sport. I understand. Yeah. He's no good people. Listen, number one. Me and boxer, my coach, every people work. Yeah, it's number one when you need being people. When you know when you bad people, this is no good, man. I don't understand it. What he won't understand. He won't kill me. What he want? I don't know. You're a fighter. You're a good fighter. You don't need this bad play. Why?
Yeah, I understand.
You care. What I don't understand. What you? Yeah. This bad team. Listen, I speak true. This is not David lost. Understand? No. Why I speak? I speak true. My coach say, my team say, and after this fight, many body message me who have before fight Nebraska, and he tell me same. He say opponent check bad gloves and KO for my boxer. and this guy check for in ring for these gloves. Say, listen, what your gloves? And many big problem. Understand? He take him. Say, you no go. You stay Philadelphia. You no fly. Understand? It's bad people.
Bad people, yeah. No, it sounds it. When Cody Crowley pulled out of the fight and you were announced as the replacement opponent, a lot of boxing fans said that you were the best replacement that they could have hoped for. Why is that, do you think? It's a tough question.
You're a better replacement than Crowley.
For Crawford?
No, from
Ennis.
the original opponent, Crowley. Yeah.
Yeah. And
they say you're a better opponent. For
before, yeah. Listen, I know say this. It's people see, people want, people understand boxing. I don't know who before opponent. I don't know Crowley.
Crowley.
I don't know him. I speak true. I don't know this guy. I don't know what his boxer is. Yeah, I see people say change his best opponent for David. Listen, I don't think about this. Who better? I need win fight. I now work this. I stay here, give everything. Not see my family, nothing. Give time for my coach to give a work show time.
And David, how much notice did you have, and what kind of shape were you in when you got the phone call?
5 weeks.
5 weeks, yeah. Before fight?
Yeah.
First time my manager called me, say about fight before 5 weeks. And after, 4 days?
Yeah.
After 4 days, I check my gloves, everything, and fly here, straight fly here.
Okay.
4.5 weeks notice, yeah. 4.5 weeks training with me. But he's always in fantastic shape, Joey. He's a constant professional, mate. He trains every day back home in Russia. Never out the gym. He just don't get a lot of pad work and sparring over there. But he gets everything else, and he's always in great shape. So when he comes back, he's just ready straight away for sparring. So that's good for me.
Yeah, listen, I'm training anytime. Is exactly I not training about big fight, and 2 times for days. Every day for one training is I say I know think about and I have fight. Before say WBC possible, and after say no, and I only training for my feel better, and after take home me say before 5 weeks if you fight tennis. Yes, I say yeah, why not? My God give me chance.
And how long did it take you to say yes when they offered you the Ennis fight?
No, I don't think too much. Speaking my coach, I say yes, why not? I try. I'm happy. This is my work. And my coach or my manager say, I don't know, 2-3 days speaking about everything is good now. I'm wait. And he called me, say everything good, fly. I said, okay.
Perfect. Just before we wrap things up, David, before I let you go, if you want to send a little message, just a goodbye message to anyone that's listening to this, say whatever you want, my friend. It's great to have you back on.
For anybody, yeah, I won't say anybody, thank you who support me, thank you who believe me. I won't say I too much love my family, my parents, my friends, English and Russian, Armenian. Thank you for my team and more time together. I do my best. I give everything. July 13 is I need Crush take this belt for me, for who tell me before anything, for my family, team, and friends, and everything good. I am ready.
You are ready. Listen, David, thanks so much again for your time. Carl, thank you to you as well.
Thank you, man.
Best of luck for July 13th. I'll be supporting you, and I hope that you can come back with a win and a new belt.
Cheers, mate. Cheers.
Thank you, Joey. Top
Thank
man.
you. Yeah.
God bless you both. Take care. Goodbye.
Thank
you. You too,
Bye-bye.
man. Bye.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. This part, usually the news part, but nothing to bring you as of yet. So if anything develops from now to the end of the show, I'll talk about it on the outro. But let's dive straight into the preview part then. We're going to start here on Saturday at the Copperbox Arena in London. It's going to be live on DAZN, this one here, an Eddie Hearn Matchroom boxing card. We're going to start with just one fight to mention. Well, 2 fights to mention on the undercard. We're going to see Maisie Rose Courtney 6-0. She's in her first 10-rounder here against Jasmina Yapatoxna, who has a record of 7-1. The one loss was on points to Shannon Ryan. That was the one where there was a head clash. It was earlier this year. I think it was on, off the top of my head, I think it was on the Buatsi. Nah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what card it was on, to be honest with you, but Shannon Ryan there was a head clash. Shannon Ryan was badly bleeding from the head clash, and narrowly won the fight on points. So I think this Jasmina Yapatoxna is quite a tough lady. It's going to be a good test for Maisie Rose Courtney, but yeah, you'd expect it to go the distance, but could be a decent fight. Also on the card, one fight that I know absolutely will be a decent fight, certainly if you don't like seeing fights go the distance. We're going to see Johnny Fisher, the Romford Bull, 11-0 in a 10-rounder here. Don't think it's going 10. He steps in with Alan the Savage Babbage, who boasts a record of 12-1. Both men like to get the job done early. Obviously, Johnny Fisher, 10 KOs from his 11 wins. Alan Babbage, 11 KOs from his 12 wins. They've both only gone the distance once in their careers, and they won't be looking to do that on Saturday night. Alan the Savage Babbage hasn't boxed since he had the win against Steve Robinson, but obviously he was out the ring for almost a year prior to that. And yeah, Johnny Fisher, he's going to be the much bigger man, stood at 6'4". He's a proper heavyweight, whereas Alan the Savage Babbage, as we know, he's a small heavyweight really, could probably make cruiser, if he wanted to. I know he boxed at Bridgerweight, obviously, and got banged out in a round by Lucas Rozansky, who we saw get banged out in a round by Lawrence Okoli. So swings and roundabouts, and it doesn't really make much inroads in this fight itself. I mean, you'd have to say Alan the Savage Babbage has actually boxed at a higher level than Johnny Fisher, to be completely honest, but Johnny Fisher is the big favourite. If you're looking to make an extra few pennies, you can put this one in any of your parlays. I'm pretty sure it's not going to go 10 rounds. It will be fun though while it lasts. I think Alan Babbage for the KO is a very good price, but I would definitely lean towards Johnny Fisher. Again, I just think much bigger, stronger man. But, it'd be interesting, especially the first few rounds. I don't even know if we're going to get a few rounds, in all honesty. It could be over quick. Also on the card, Reece Bellotti, 18-5. He's boxing here for the British and Commonwealth super featherweight titles against Levi Giles, 15-1. The one loss came to Michael Gomez Jr. last year on a split decision over 10. He's a decent fighter, Levi Giles. However, I said it before and I'll say it again because it actually pleases me to say it. Reece Bellotti is on a heck of a run. That's why I mentioned him as one of the British fighters of 2023. He's on a 4-fight win streak, picking up wins against Dean Dodge, Yusuf Kamari, Akib Fiaz and Liam Dillon. This is going to be a good fight here, and I would lean towards Reece Bellotti to certainly get the job done, but I can see him getting it done within the distance as well, though Levi Giles is a good fighter. Like I say, he'll be confident, he'll come to win, I'm sure. Good fight, though. That, like I say, is on DAZN. Moving now to the Honda Center in California, USA. I'm not entirely sure what channel this one's going to be on. Very interesting fight on the undercard. It's I'm going to say a battle of the family members for family members that are related to good fighters. You've got Amado Vargas, that's one of Fernando Vargas's, I think, 3 fighting sons. He's 10-0. He's back here in an 8-rounder against Sean Garcia. That's the brother of Ryan Garcia. He's 7-0 with a draw. Somebody's must go. I'd love to know if there's odds on that fight. I'll be backing Amado Vargas for that one for sure. Also on this card, I'm not going to give it any airtime at all, but it's a 10-rounder at light heavyweight. Nate Diaz, 0-1, steps in the ring with Jorge Masvidal, 1-0. Both guys obviously former UFC superstars, I think it's fair to say, in their own right. They're stepping in the ring, boxing here. Both have only had one pro fight. Masvidal's win, I think, was a majority decision over like 4 rounds against the journeyman, and Nate Diaz obviously lost to Jake Paul, I think, in his only pro fight. I think that was a fully sanctioned fight. So yeah, Nate Diaz is tough. He went the distance with Jake Paul. I'd expect this one to probably go the distance again. I think he did 10 rounds with Jake Paul. So yeah, can't see him getting stopped by Masvidal. I don't know, I could be wrong. I don't know nothing about the guys. I know they're both 39, that's about it. Moving to the main event, though, I think it's the main event, Eddie. It's probably not, knowing the way these cards work out these days, but I'm going to come to you straight away. Danny Jacobs, 37-4, returning to the ring here after it's been a long time, to be honest with you. It's got to be... I'd say he probably hasn't boxed since losing to John Ryder off the top of my head. That's going back to February 2022. So 2.5 years out the ring, stepping in with Shane Mosley Jr., 21-4. We've spoke about him a hell of a lot over the years, because at one point he just looked like, he looked like he'd never really be able to step out of his father's shadow, but that's no knock on the guy. His father was a fantastic fighter. I'm not entirely sure he has fully stepped out of that shadow, but he's definitely got one leg out, I think it's fair to say, because he's got better and better with every performance, and he's beaten some guys that I would not have expected him to go on to beat. So he's in some good form, and he's been the much more active. But yeah, it's interesting, because I struggle to see anything more than a Danny Jacobs win. I just think the 2.5 years out, how much has he got left? I personally felt he beat John Ryder, that last fight he had. But the odds, you might be surprised here, Eddie, but they're both exactly the same with the bookies. They cannot split them.
Wow. I mean, I guess in this situation, you would think with, Danny Jacobs being, the former champ and, big name guy, that they would kind of be leaning that way. But then I guess, just like what you said, Joe, he hasn't been in the ring in about 2.5 years. Before that, how much did he have left even then? There's a lot, and in boxing is a whatever have you done for me lately sport as is. So, imagine that. So I would imagine this is why they can't split him, especially the form Shane Mosley Jr. has been in recently. He's been doing well. Like you said, he's been improving constantly. I don't know what he's doing or who he's training with right off the top of my head right now. But whatever they're doing, it's helping. Whatever the sparring and the training in general that he is getting is improving him. Especially on the night of the fight. So I was a huge fan of his dad, like big fan, one of my favorite fighters to watch. So seeing his son come out and actually start to be a name in the sport is actually kind of refreshing for me. You know what I mean? Just as a fan of the sport. But yeah, he's action, but he's actually been getting better and improving his skills too. So we're really going to get a chance to see, just what he has and what his ceiling could be, getting in there with somebody to the caliber of Danny Jacobs. And then we're going to also, on the other side, get a chance to see just what Danny has left in his career, based on, by him getting in there with somebody who's as live a dog and as tough a guy and who's improving, like we said, every fight out, in Shane Mosley Jr. So it's going to be an exciting situation. All action fight I'm expecting. but there's going to be some skills and some, I think some adversity that, one or both of them are going to go through. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I agree. I do think the biggest thing is, what does Danny Jacobs have left? I think 2.5 years ago, before this inactivity, he did have quite a bit left. Like I say, I felt he beat John Ryder, but then I remember the fight before that. I thought that he lost to Gabe Rosado, but he got a lucky win. And then obviously I thought he beat John Ryder, but got an unlucky loss. Prior to that, I think he wasn't doing great against Julio Cesar Chavez, but then Chavez mysteriously quit in the corner. And then the fight before that was against Canelo, in which some people felt he did enough. So he's been quite inconsistent, great performance followed by an under par performance, followed by a great performance, followed by an under par performance. Yeah, I just wonder what he's got left in the tank 2.5 years later. Yeah, all the best to both men there. Don't really sort of have a horse in the race. But yeah, Danny Jacobs so much more experienced, God, like the men he's been in with. Go on, Eddie.
Yeah, no, I was. You said I got a horse in the race. As much as I was a huge Shane Mosley fan, I never met him, and it's obvious I never met his son. However, I know him. You have? Yeah. Oh shit! Okay, I've never had a chance to meet him, man. I was a huge fan too back in the day, which is crazy. It'd be funny if he even knew who I was, but it's crazy.
Have you ever met James Toney?
Yeah, I did. I met James. I met James. Okay. Yeah. James crazy, man. He's crazy as hell. But he's just like he is. There's no difference in personality to what you see on TV. That's just James Toney. So, yeah. But, so I say all that to say, as great as it is to see Shane Jr. doing well. And, like I said, I was a big fan of his dad. I know Danny Jacobs, and I know him pretty well. And he's a good dude. And if I'm gonna see anybody win or want to see anybody win, it would be him, because like I said, he's a good guy. He's from close by. He's respected the sport at every turn. He's gave his best. He's done a lot in the sport too. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure I put that out there, and didn't want anybody to have any idea of where I was going with the fight. But like I said, it's just an exciting fight that I'm looking forward to.
Should be a good one. Moving on, though, to the next card. We're going to go now to the Toyota Arena in the Toyota Arena in California, USA. This one over here, I believe, will be on DAZN. It's a Golden Boy Promotions card. One fight to mention on the undercard, just because I think most of Golden Boy's undercards are pretty weak, really, and this isn't any different, but I'm going to guess it's probably the chief support. We're going to see Alex Martin, who's 18-5. He lost once upon a time to Michael McKinson. He steps in with Pedro Campa, who lost once upon a time to Teofimo Lopez. He's currently 35-3 with a draw. That one's over 10 rounds. And the main event, a very exciting fighter indeed. Mr. William Zepeda, 30-0 with 26 KOs. We like watching him, myself and you, Eddie. We've spoke about him before. He steps in the ring, though, with Giovanni Cabrera, who's 22-1. The one loss came a couple fights ago to Pitbull Cruz, and he lost that fight by split decision over 12 rounds. So I don't remember watching that one, to be totally honest with you. It was on the Spence Crawford undercard. I can't really remember that fight, but hang on a minute. No, I don't remember that fight at all. But, yeah. It tells me he's probably got quite a chin on him. So it's a case of, will Zepeda stop him or not? He is such a big puncher and such an exciting fighter. All the best to him. Moving on now to this one here. We're coming down to the final two cards. This one goes down at the very same time, unfortunately. It's going to clash with that card there in California. This one's going to be on ESPN. Yeah, it's close to you, Eddie, actually. Shame you're probably not going over there, but the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, USA. We're going to start with the undercard. Abdullah Mason, 13-0, stepping in with Lewis LeBron, 20-5 with a draw. I don't think LeBron's ever been stopped. Can Abdullah Mason become the first man to do that? It's over 8 rounds. He's a very good-looking 19-year-old prospect. I don't mean good-looking in terms of his looks. I'm talking about his ring IQ. It seems to be right up there for a kid of his age. Also on the card, Keyshawn Davis, 10-0, stepping in with Miguel Madueno, who is 31-2. Shakur Stevenson, 21-0, defending his WBC lightweight world title against Artem Harachunyan, who is 12-1. I hope I'm saying his name right. He seems to be quite comfortable, Harachunyan, if that's how you say his name. I've seen him, through the media this week and the rest of it. It seems quite comfortable being out there. Obviously, he's coming off a loss. He lost his last fight. It's the only loss on his record. He lost on points over 12 to Frank Martin, and he did take a knee in the final round there. But a very close fight. He lost. The scorecards were 115-112 twice and 114-113. Considering he took a knee in the final round, if that wouldn't have been a 10-8, then he would have won on at least one judge's scorecard. So it would have been a split decision there. So yeah, he's not a bad fighter by any means. But Shakur Stevenson is Shakur Stevenson, friend of the show. All the best to him. And moving to the main event, another friend of the show, O'Shaquie Foster, 22-2, defending his WBC super featherweight world title against the very unfortunate Robson Conceição, 18-2 with a draw these days. Should probably be the WBO super featherweight champion of the world, but we know what happened there against Emmanuel Navarrete. He was very, very unlucky, the Brazilian, to get a draw there. But I think this is a tough fight. I've noticed that the odds are quite close, but the bookies have got O'Shaquie Foster as the favourite. He's a friend of the show. I'd like to see him win. We had him on a few weeks ago. He's a nice guy. I'd like to see him win. But it's a tough fight. I really think that, Robson Conceição is a very, very, very good fighter who's had really bad luck. Even the loss to Oscar Valdez was controversial as well, if my memory serves me right. So, yeah, that was he lost fair and square to Shakur Stevenson. I remember that one, but it was a close one with Valdez, and it was a BS one with Navarrete, in my opinion. He's come back with a little win in the meantime, and he's back here. So yeah, I think it will go the distance. That's probably the pick there, but it could go either way. But again, I'm rooting for O'Shaquie Foster, who again I think is getting better and better with every fight, to give him some credit. We've seen him box. He has boxed his backside off, and we've seen him fight when he's needed to, and he has managed to stand in the pocket with big punches and slug it out. It's not the smartest way to do things, but basically he can do it all. So all the best to him come Saturday night. So yeah, should be a good night of fights. And finally, the final card to mention goes down on Sunday in Japan, and you're going to have to forgive me for my lack of knowledge at some of the lower weights, but this one's for the IBF and WBA super flyweight world titles. I don't know if it's a unification. I'm not entirely sure, but we're going to see Kazuto Ioka, very good fighter, 31-2 with a draw, stepping in the ring with the undefeated Fernando Daniel Martinez, 16-0. For those hardcore boxing fans, I'm sure that will be a good fight, because again, the odds are very, very, very close. They've got Ioka as the slight favourite there, so should be a good competitive fight and should be full of action, especially if Ioka is involved. Those super flyweights in that part of the world are made of something else. But anyway, that brings the preview part to a close. In part one, we did the review part. Then we welcomed our special guest, Mr. David Avanesyan, the former WBA Welterweight World Champion. In just a few days, he'll be travelling out there to Philadelphia to step in the ring with Jaron Ennis. All the best to David Avanesyan. In part two, there was no news to bring you, but we did go deep with the preview part, which we've just wrapped up. The final thing for me to do is to come in with the outro, which I'll do in just a few seconds. Okay, and this wraps up episode 455 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Eddie Chambers has been with me for the duration of the show. A big shout out to this week's special guest, the former WBA Welterweight World Champion, Mr. David Avanesyan. Big shout out as well to Carl Greaves, just helping with the little language barrier that there is with David Avanesyan. The biggest thanks as well goes out to you, the listeners. Of course, every week is the same. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. Remember to tell a friend about the podcast if they don't already know. Follow us on Twitter at BoxHard_podcast, and we'll see you all again same time next week. Take care, my friends.